What's going on, everyone? It's Bales, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Trade Talk video ahead of round 3. Plenty of moves being made. Another best 18 week coming up. Obviously, we've got still the 2 trades here, and it's probably, I know Selby was talking about this actually, it's probably one of the last sort of weeks to try and get these mid-priced and fix up. And then we'll probably start moving into sort of a little bit more of upgrade season, I think, next week, with a few pebbles that got some cash, maybe able to move a rookie on next week. But we'll go through the options, the most trade in and out players for the week as always, and I'll go through my top 5 targets at the end, and then I'll sort of say what my trade's looking like at the start at this early stage of the week. But if you guys are enjoying the content, as always, make sure you do smash a like on the video and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're on our way to 2,000 subscribers. So yeah, we're closing in. I think we're just over 150 now. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do by clicking subscribe, sort of just below. So let's get stuck into the most trade in out players of the week. So once again, one of the most trade in, well, the most trade in player this week, he was this last week as well, is Massimo D'Ambrosio. So or it's D'Ambrosio, I think, is what I think I saw a video him saying it's not actually D'Ambrosio. Apparently it's D'Ambrosio. So there you go. But anyway, 11.7k coaches are jumping on Massimo. I'm personally one of those coaches looking at bringing him in. So he obviously backed up the 94 that he got in round 1 with the 96. So obviously went a little bit better. And he just looks good. Like, he's playing mostly on a wing, but he seems to really be pushing back sort of to get involved. They are using him whenever they get the opportunity to. So for me, a guy that's priced at 550k, and he's got a break even at 19. So just waiting for it to, yeah, so there you go, 19. Geelong at the MCG on Easter Monday. Not a bad matchup, I don't think. I don't think it's as bad as what Geelong have been in the past. Again, if he scores a 51, he's making the 30k. So he's probably going to be about 600k next week. So you ride that price rise for a few weeks, and you'll probably be able to go a guy like D'Ambrosio in like what, round 7, round 8, potentially to like a Nick Daicos. It might cost you a couple 100k, but that could be a play that you could genuinely do. But also the other thing I like about him is that in round 7, when we have like your McKerches, your Roberts, your Bonners, if you've got a Fisher, if you're still holding a Sexton, guys like that, you can put him in defence. You can trade Massimo to a midfielder. So that's another reason why I like the pick. But yeah, I'm a big fan of bringing him in, and he is a guy that I'm heavily considering. And if you haven't got him already, I think you should be as well. Tom Powell is coming in next. 11.3k coach are jumping on him as well. They're clearly the 2 most traded in players this week. And again, he's a guy that I'm heavily considering bringing him in. 113 points. That's the best game I've seen Tom Powell play in his sort of young career. He's still a young guy. So 113, kicked a couple of goals. Nice stat line, 28 disposals as well. I think he had 4 marks, 5 tackles, if I'm not mistaken. So, but the other thing that was the most important stuff, I think he had the most CBAs of any North Melbourne mid, which was really impressive. He also had a lot in the first game. So for me, that's signalling that he's one of those main guys in there, if not the main guy in there, based on the stats from the first few games. So here you go here. So like even 26 touches, 4 marks, 1 tackle, 28 touches, 4 marks, 5 tackles. Obviously the couple of goals last week. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Tom Powell. The fixtures aren't amazing over the next 3, like Carlton, Brisbane at Norwood, and Geelong down at GMHBA, but we're not bringing him in to score hundreds. We're bringing him in to, if he can average 80, 85, that's a big win. Because I think, because of the lack of forward options, he's probably the clear standout guy to bring in this week. And he's going to make money. Who knows? He's averaging 96 from 2 games. If he goes and averages 90 for the year, he's going to be in around the top 6 forwards. So I'm not saying he's going to be top 6 for anything like that. We've got to still see how he goes over the next few weeks. But he's got the capability just because of the lack of forward options. So for me, I'm a big fan of the pick, and he'll be over 600k next week. So again, if with him and Massimo, I guess the thing you can sort of rest on is the fact they're both going to make a fair bit of cash still, and they're going to give you points on field. So I think that they're both big ticks. Matt Crouch, 4.4k coach are jumping on him. Again, he's been very, very impressive over the first 2 weeks, average of 112. Yeah, he's looking really good. Had 38 touches last week, and if he had a few tackles, that score could have been a lot bigger than what it was. So, yeah, he's got a good baseline, I think. He's been consistent. His time on ground's always going to be a little bit around that 70 to 75% mark, but he's still finding ways. Points per minute's always been pretty good. So, yeah, for me, I'm a big fan of Matt Crouch, and the pick, 791k. probably one of the last couple of weeks if you're bringing him in to make cash. I think if you'd be bringing him in maybe after this week, you're probably looking at him more as going to be one of those sort of top 8 to 12 midfielders. And I'm not sure he's going to quite get there. I still think he'll regress a little bit, but he's got a low break even. He's got cash to make, and he's looking good. So I still like the pick. Caleb Sarong, 3,500 coaches jumping on him. Again, this is a little bit different to Matt Crouch. Obviously, he's a bit more expensive, but if you're paying up for him, I like it. I see him being a top 8 mid, could even be a top 4 mid based on how he's gone. He is expensive at just over $1 million, which is crazy. I personally wouldn't be grabbing him. I'm not paying up for guys. I've made the mistake in the past of paying up for guys like this, and I've run out of money to get the guys I want. I've had to settle for someone else. So this year could be different though. Best 18, you want a guy that can pop a big score, and he's been great over the first 2 weeks. So if you're in the market for an expensive midfield, I think Sarong could be a guy. But I'm personally wanting to save a bit of money, and I'd personally go for a Butters or a Jack Steele over a Sarong. But if you're paying up, I do like the Sarong pick. So I can't really fault you for going in, to be honest. Isaac Heaney, this one's a tricky one. So 3,000 coats are jumping on him. He's got Richmond this week, which is a good matchup. Then he's got West Coast, and then he's got his bye. That's the big point for me. So he's nearly 30% owned. He's obviously been amazing, averaging 121 over his 3 games. The two fixtures, can't be great, but it's that bye. Like Gold Coast Hawthorn is not bad after that. So he's got 4 pretty decent matchups in his next 5 weeks. It's just, it would depend on how your team is looking. And if you are fine with bye players, if you've already got a Daicos, if you've already got, like obviously Jordan there as well, if you've got a Grundy in your ruck, if you've got Matt Roberts as well, if you got a few of these guys, that's where it starts to get a little bit not as good, because you have too many of those round 5 bye players. But if you don't have a Daicos, if you don't have maybe one of the other guys, then I think Heaney is definitely a viable trading, because I think he's going to score over the next fortnight. So he could be. I think it's just team dependent if you bring him in or not. But hopefully everyone watching this here has jumped on him, but I know there will be some people that haven't jumped on him yet. Just yet. Nasai Wangani Miller, he was really good last week with 122 points. 3,000 coats are jumping on him. Again, if you're in the market for a defender, I like it. You go Whitfield to him, you make yourself, 90k or around that mark. So could definitely be a play. He's got breaking 83. I'm not shopping personally for my own side for a defender there, because I think I'm holding Whitfield at this stage, and I'd prefer to keep him and make my team better. But if you are wanting to, want the points, I think Nasai Wangani Miller is the pick to go down. So I like the pick, and if you're shopping around for a 750 to 850k defender, I think he's probably the pick of them, to be honest. He looked really good last week. Obviously, dropped 80 the week before, so got to keep that in mind. But yeah, I think he looked like the main guy back there, and if becomes the sort of the 1A and Sinclair becomes a 1B almost, and I think Wangani Miller could be a top 6 defender, but I think he's going to be in and around the mark anyway, so something to watch. But yeah, he looked really good last week, and definitely someone that you could consider for your side. Toby Pink, again, people just got a Zach Reed, they're probably just going for him, so I do like the Toby Pink pick in terms, he's probably the one defender that is probably going to be in the side for a bit. 231k, break even of 5, dropped the 49 last week, so probably the guy you bring in there as well. Tristan Sherry, almost the last week that you could probably realistically do that Grundy to Sherry trade and it be worthwhile, because you're still making, I think, might be in around that 40k, 30k mark. Breaking into 32, he'll probably pass Grundy this week if he can score anything, probably above a 90. And Carlton it looks like a decent matchup on paper against DeConing, so I think he could drop another good score and be a guy that makes even more cash. And yeah, so for me, if you haven't done it already, I'd be doing it this week. And how many coaches are doing that this week? What is that, 2.4k? Yeah, 2.4k jumping on him. So if you haven't got him already, you could definitely consider him as an option. So what are we up to? We've got 2, 4, 6, 8. So we've got Duma and Sharp to finish off the top 10. So Duma, 2.1k jumping on him. He looked really good last week with an 85. We had Fry on the podcast, obviously, on the Sunday night just gone, and he said Durs was really good and impressed him, but he said he's probably going to be almost his ceiling sort of game, being that 85. Like, breaking -1's great. He's going to make cash, definitely, and he's in the best 22. It's just, he's probably not going to, don't expect 85s I don't think. He took 11 marks last week, which was good to see as well. It's positive that he can maybe have a decent floor, but maybe he's not going to score many scores around that 85, 90 mark again. He might have a couple of games where he does that, but he was very good. Carlton, bit of a tougher matchup this week, but he's under the roof again, so could put up another solid score. And if you've got the money to spend, I don't mind the idea. I've always been a guy that's been happy to pay up for rookies, and Dersma seems like one of those guys you could definitely do that with. And Jeremy Sharp as well, a bit of the same thing with Dersma, but I've got a bit more faith that Sharp can be more consistent. 373 though, he's getting up there. -2 break in. If you didn't jump on, you can, but yeah, if it would just depend, I guess. Like, I think you could still do it, definitely. He's going to make a lot more cash. Yeah, I would still do it, but I'd say this would be the last week I'd be looking at Sharp. If he'll be over 400k this week, I wouldn't be looking at it after this week. Let's just put it that way. So, a few other players here. Harry Sheasel, if you've got the money, I definitely don't mind it. I think a lot of people that are getting shares this week are probably owners of either Daicos and getting off of him with that with that buy coming up and the tag. And then also Lockie Whitfield, you're making 6k going to Sheasel. If you don't have Sheasel, I'm a big fan of jumping on him. So, yeah, if you don't have him, I like that. Ari Sharmaker, a few people are jumping on him already, but just I've got to see if he's got to wait. I'm always probably wanting to watch a week from a 200k rookie first to see how he goes, but could be an option to come in with St Kilda having a couple of injuries there. So he's definitely a shout. I'll watch him this week and see how he goes. Jack Steele, 1.7k jumping on. I'm a big fan of the pick. He's still pretty cheap. I think he's, 9? Yeah, I was going to say 910, 909. 91 break-even. Not bringing him in for the break-even. You bring him in underpriced, averaging 114 over the 2 weeks. He's looked really good. Back to the Jack Steele that we know and love. So I think Jack Steele is a guy that I would be. I'd probably go him over a Sarong. I'd save the 141k and get him, because that could be important to getting you a better play the week after. But again, if you're wanting to pay up for a captain option, I think that Caleb Sarong is the better pick in terms of captain option there. Blake Cowes, for me, it's probably too late. I really wouldn't pay. I don't know if I'd pay 369k. I know he's got a -13 break even, but I feel like Howes could still drop a 40 at any moment. He's been really good the first 3 weeks, but I feel like he could drop poor score at any moment. And I guess you could still bring -13 break even, makes it viable still. But I'll be a little. I'm certainly not on board like I was last week. He was He went up 71k this week. He was under 300k. I was more of a fan then. 369. He'll be over 400k next week. So if you don't have him, you can. But it feels a bit dirty that you've missed out on the 169k that everyone else has got because they started with him, and you probably could have started with him if you didn't, just because he had that double price rise. But yeah, I'm not sure, but you could. So Luke Jackson as well. Yeah, 1.5 coach jumping on him. Sean Darcy looks like he's still 2 to 3 weeks away, so that's good. That's a win for all those coaches that started Luke Jackson. I didn't, because I thought Darcy would be back next week, and there's still a chance he is, but it sounds like he's more 2 weeks, 3 weeks away than next week. So someone to look at there. And a few other options here as well, like Dempsey, I still don't mind jumping on. Gallagher's been okay. I'd rather a Dempsey if you've got the cash there, or even wait for Harvey Thomas the following week. Well, Harvey Thomas is there on his buy. If there's a coach who's jumping on him on his buy, I'd probably just wait a week to make sure he gets named next week, then jump on, but he would be a good option. Yeah, and I don't mind the Butters pick as well. He's still at a pretty cheap price. What's he priced at here? As the page loads, 916k. I think I'd rather Steele out of the two, but I don't mind Butters as a pick as well. He's not too bad, but he has had a couple of easier fixtures. But then again, I think he almost a guy that could score better in the harder matchups. Because we saw him dominate Melbourne last year, and that's who he's got this week. So you'll be hoping for a bit of the same. Going to the most traded out players. No surprises who the sort of the top couple are. So Alex Sexton, 17.7k coats are jumping off, and there's still a couple of days to go. Well, obviously recording this on the Tuesday night, so there's still plenty of time for Sexton to be traded out by coaches. He'll be probably upwards of 20k coaches trading him out, and I think it's fair enough as well. If he went forward, it's not for the fact that he went forward, it's the fact that Dimmer's able to, well, it is the fact he went forward, but it's also the fact that Dimmer's willing to throw him forward as well at any point. So that's a bit of a nervous watch there. I think he's at a cheap enough price. I know Mitch said this on the Ball Boys podcast earlier this week, that if he starts going well, we can bring him in. He's still at a cheap enough price, we can bring him in, and there's no forward options, so we can always do that. But I think I'd get off of him. He's not going to make any cash this week. Obviously, he's on buy, and then we just don't know what his role is going to be moving forward. So I think I'd be trading him this week. But I don't hate the play of keeping him, because if he does stay in defence, he could probably score. I think he'll still score better than a rookie. So that could be a play. Nick Caulfield obviously has to go, unfortunately. He's out for, I think, at least 3 months, if not closer to 4, with a shoulder reconstruction, which sucks for him. It looked very innocuous, and wishing him all the best in his recovery. But he's got to be traded. D'Ambrosio would be the D'Ambrosio. So I keep even making that mistake myself. Is probably the one I'd be going to if you don't have him. John Newcomb, I'll be jumping off 5.6k, jumping off of him as well. He's just popped, 260s in a row, breaking 126. He's already gone down 61k for the season, and that's just going to continue to plummet. We can always jump back on him if he starts going well again. I think Will Day actually out is almost hurting him. I think he'd be doing better if Will Day was there and have another guy to help him in there more. But I'd be jumping off him 100%, and you've got plenty of good options. You've got a Crouch. I think you make a little bit of money. So you've got to spend a tiny bit of money. I think it's 5k, 10k, something like that. 10k I think now to do that, so I'd be doing that. And if you want to go up to a Jack Steele or a Zach Butters, that's also an option, but I'd be trading John Newcomb. Hayden Young, I'm not as keen to be trading. 3.6k jumping off of him. He had the role. He was still the second most CBAs of any Freo midfielder last week. I think that the tougher games are going to suit him better. I think, especially a matchup like the Crows this week, a lot more of a contested game, a lot more stoppages will suit a guy like Hayden Young, a lot more tackles, sort of those contest possessions. And then he's got Carlton, Port Adelaide. I think his next 3, they look hard on paper, but I think for a guy like Hayden Young, I think these are actually 3 pretty decent matchups. So for me, I wouldn't be trading Hayden Young. We got him for a reason. He's got the role. He would have scored 100 in the first round if it wasn't for those injuries. And then I think if he got 100 and then a 75, we wouldn't be talking about it, because you look at an Asai Wayne-Miller went 84, then he went 122. Tom Stewart went, I think, like an 85, then a 114. These defenders do fluctuate a bit more than any other position. So I know he's playing midfield, but for me, I'd be holding the face for a couple more weeks at least. Maybe it could be a good move if you jump off. Maybe getting ahead of the pack and jumping off him early. But for me, I'd be holding the faith. Lockie Whitfield and Tom Green. So 3.2k jumping off Whitfield, 2,500 jumping off Tom Green. And then I'll mention Flanders as well, because 2.2k jumping off him. So the three big guys there, all on bye. It is a really, really tough one, because I think Flanders is going to be the top scoring forward. If not, he'll be with the top sort of 2 forwards. Heaney's probably going to be up there as well. Tom Green looks like everything of a top 4 midfielder. Could be the number 1 scoring player in the comp based on what he's done the first 2 weeks. And then Lockie Whitfield is going to be a top 6 defender, if not probably a top 3 defender. So they're guys at the top of their lines. And that's what makes it hard. I think if you've got all 3, I think you probably could move off of one, because I think having all 3 on buys is too much to have. If I was going to move off one of the 3, it's probably Whitfield, just because I think Flanders is going to be one of the top 2 scoring forwards. There's not many good options, so saves you going there. I think Tom Green is one that I'd probably hold, just because he's so expensive already. If you trade him, it's going to be extremely hard to get him back in. He's looked so good already, and I think he's going to repay the faith in the next few weeks and put up a few more big scores. Whereas Whitfield, there's a few defenders that could still go pretty well. I think Whitfield would be top 6 defender, definitely, and I'm holding him, but that's because I don't have Green and Flanders. But I think if you've got all 3, I think Whitfield would be the guy I'd trade first. I think Flanders would be the next guy. I think I'd be trying to keep Tom Green if you can. But then again, maybe because the early buys we haven't seen before, maybe the play is to trade Tom Green. You can go over to him to a Sarong, you can go down to a Jack Steele and make yourself nearly 150k. That could come in really handy. You could go down to a Bont and make yourself 50k, or a Dawson and make 50k. So that could be a play there, but he is expensive and it's going to be hard to get him back. So I do like the play of holding, but I think again another one that's team dependent, I reckon. Brody Grundy, I think you're probably not trading him now. If you've got nothing else to do, I still don't mind. I still like the Grundy to Sherry trade. But if you've got other issues, I think Grundy put up a 90 last week. I think he's going to be around that mark. He's not going to be the 100, 105 plus that we were probably hoping he was going to be at the start of the season, but he'll still be serviceable. You got a 118, 53, and then a 90. So if he can just go at the 85 plus for most weeks, he'll be okay. He's obviously break-evens sort of gotten a little bit higher. It's up at 81, so it's not like he's going to shoot up to 850 quickly. Whereas I think Sherry, if he keeps going at these hundreds, he's going to keep making cash. So if you can still make that trade, I'd like it. But I don't think it's a necessary trade like it was probably last week. But it wasn't probably necessary, but it was a good trade regardless. Zach Reed, I still like keeping Zach Reed. He's going to come back into the side. Again, if you've got nothing else to do, I still don't mind going him to a Toby Pink or if Fashawn who comes in or whatever. But the one play I'm looking at is I've got obviously Williams and Howes, and I've looked at the next 3-4 weeks, and it actually Reed plays after Howes in every week. And you can actually loop Howes and Williams. So I like that play. Gives you a red dot because of Barnett playing. So I'm keeping Reed. But again, if you want 30 green dots, you just want cash, you don't care about the VC loophole, then you could definitely trade a Zach Reed out. Sorry, just not my computer there. Nick Daicos. So this is going to be very interesting. So I think, what's that? 2, 4, 6, 8. So this is actually the top. So these are the top 10. So Daicos, 10th most traded out player, 1.6k. Coach is jumping off him. Yeah, look, so if you've got nothing else to do, I don't hate the play. He's got Brisbane at the Gabba this week. I think he'll still score 100 plus this week. I don't see Brisbane really tagging. I think Dunkley could go to him at stoppages, but I still see Daicos doing his thing. I can't get my words out. He'll want to respond after a poor week last week, but the fact that he's got a 143 break even, he's already gone down 33k this week, and he's got Finn McGuinness here, then he's got a bye, then he's got a likely Willem Drew tag here. Wouldn't be opposed if you don't have a Harry Sheezel going and getting a Sheezel. I would be definitely considering getting a Sidewing and Miller makes you 130k. You could do it. It's funny. It's weird saying about trading like a guy like Nick Daicos, but I think the difference between him and a Tom Green is the fact that Daicos has got a high brain and he's losing cash. And he's got a bye coming up, whereas Green's on bye this week. If it doesn't hurt you, you can keep him. Whereas I think with Daicos, he's got the Finn McGuinness tag next week. He's got a bye coming up. I think it is a genuine play that you could look to trade him out and look to bring him back in round 7 after that Willem Drew tag against Essendon on Anzac Day. So that could be a play there, or even round 8. And that's what I'm looking at bringing him in around that time as well. So yeah, that is a play you could consider. But I'm not, by no means do you have to do it, because I think he'll still score well this week. Or maybe you do it next week. Maybe you wait a week hoping he goes 110 and then you could do it next week. But I don't mind if you've got nothing else to do. It could be a play. Buderick can go as well. I only scored a 61 last week. Toby Green's on bye. If you did have him, I think he can go as well. Ollie Wines, I'm happy to trade. He got an 88. I know he had a 54-point second half, but the fact that he's not going to burn you if you trade him, and it's not like he's going to be shooting up in cash either. He's only going to, he's got a break in at 81. And what's happened here? I think I accidentally pressed a button, which made it go back. Yeah, I reckon I did. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we'll go back into this. Apologies for accidentally pressing that. But yeah, so yeah, Toby Green, I'd be happy to trade. I don't even remember if that was the player I was even talking about. Anyway, we'll get back to here and any last sort of options I want to sort of touch on before we move on. Why is this not loading and showing up? Apologies for the not really technical difficulties, but the mistakes and everything. Come on, why is it not doing? I've pressed coach's choice like twice, and it's not letting. Come on, it's not that hard. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll go back to the most trade out, and if there was anyone else we're going to touch on. So I was talking about Ollie Wines. Why was I saying Toby Green? Anyway, yeah, Ollie Wines, I'd be happy to trade. He's not going to burn you. Touk Miller, I'd be less keen to trade a guy like Touk. He's still value, and again, you could trade him. Like nothing. He's on bye, so if you want to be aggressive, you could. But I don't mind keeping a guy like Touk Miller as well, who's going to be a guy that's probably going to be a trade target next week. Jack Viney as well. I'd be trading with the upcoming bye. He's got Port and then the Crows, a couple of tougher matchups. You want him to make that cash early to go sideways to a. And I'm knocking other stuff over. This is an absolute shambles. Yeah, I'd be happy to trade. You want him to make that cash. His break even's now a bit higher. Up at, what is it now? It is up at 134. Yeah, he's not making the cash. You brought him in to make cash. He went down 29k. That cash that he made post round one's ruined now. So yeah, I'd be jumping off to a Jack Steele. It only costs you 5k. But then again, it's not a must trade. I don't think. If you've got other issues, I'd be fixing them. And then obviously, yeah, Bonner. wasn't great last week, and then Lazaro could be dropped, so just to keep an eye on that one, and obviously Gibbs out for the year, so you'd be trading as well. But Bonner, I want to give another week. Give him another week, I think. Under the roof at Marvel against Essendon. I think he can have a better game this week. A few injuries as well. Does it force it when Simon Miller to a wing, maybe? That could be something to watch. So for me, I'd be looking at holding him. So my top 5 options for the week. I think the top 2. I think number 1 is Massimo D'Ambrosio. Would be my number 1 pick. I think he's great value in the defence. I think a few people might be shopping for a defender if you've still got a Buderick, if you've got a guy like a Salem that you could be jumping off of. Is it a Whitfield you're trading? Someone like that. I like D'Ambrosio as a pick. So he's my number 1. And number 2 is Tom Powell. With the lack of forward options, he's got a big argument to be number 1 for me. I think with the lack of forward options, I think he's almost not a must-get, but he's a very, very good option with the lack of forwards. So for me, Tom Powell, I'm really keen on bringing him in. Coming in at number 3, I think Jack Steele is my number 3. Just because if you're looking for a midfielder, he's underpriced. He's just over 900k. You could definitely get to a guy like him if you don't have him. So he would be my number 3 pick. He looked really good last week. He's looked good all season. So for me, he'd be my number 3. Number 4, if you don't have him, I think would be Matt Crouch. I think just ahead of Nasai Wangley-Miller, who would have at number 5. Matt Crouch looked great. Obviously, back-to-back 110s. So for me, I do like bringing him in under 800k still. And then Nasai Wangley-Miller, if you're looking for one of those premium defenders, I do like him. But if you don't have Heaney, I still like him as well. But they'd be my top sort of 5 picks. Obviously, there's a lot of other good options. I still like Sheasel if you're paying up for a defender. I still like Butters as well. Zach Williams is probably one we didn't touch on as well. Could be definitely an option to bring in if you didn't start with him. He's obviously cheap. If you want to jump, what's he priced still? It's like 86. Yes, that's right. Because he went up a fair bit after round 1. So yeah, definitely a guy that you could bring in with North Melbourne this week. So they'd be my top 5. So my trades. At this stage, I'm looking at, I think it's still the exact same trades I had on the team review video. I'm going Salem down to D'Ambrosio. I just didn't like the role that Salem had off half back. He's got Port Adelaide, then the Crows, and I think he's got Brisbane at the MCG. So 3 tough matchups to come, and especially for half backs. I'm just not really keen. I'm just having a look because obviously he has the same team. I'm just making sure visit Brisbane was that 3rd game before his bye. Yeah, Brisbane MCG. So I'm not really keen on those. There is a chance Salem goes back into the midfield this week if Hawke comes into the best 22, if they bring in Tomlinson, if Petty plays in defence. There is a chance, but I think it's just the fact that with those hard matchups, I don't even think he's going to go that big even in the midfield anyway. So I'm happy to jump off, make 207k and get D'Ambrosio in and keep that cash gen rolling at in one of those defender spots. And then I'm also going Alex Sexton up to Tom Powell. So I'm pretty happy with that move. I'm a big fan of Tom Powell. Always have been. I started him last year. I was maybe 12 months too early potentially because he's looking good this year with the role as well. And I'm jumping on him this week. And I think he will be a good solid section. Could be a guy that I'm going to roll to as mid-season buy as well. And potentially could be longer depending on how he goes. If he's averaging 90 plus, he's going to be right in the mix for a top 6 forward spot with the lack of options. So yeah, I like the Tom Powell pick. I think the only other trade I've really considered was going just a defender rookie to like a Dursman or a Dempsey just to maybe do that. But I think I'm pretty settled on D'Ambrosio and Powell coming in. I think they're the 2 guys coming in. It might just depend who I trade out. Like I could go Jai Clark instead and keep Sexton, but I think it will be the trades. I'm pretty settled on them. So. But there you go. Let me know in the comments below what you guys are doing with your trades this week, and if you've got any trade questions, put them in the comments below. And also any of your top options that maybe I didn't go through today, and that you're pretty keen on. Let me know in the comments below on those as well. But if you did enjoy it, make sure you do leave a like on the video as always, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as we're pretty close to 2,000 subscribers. So yeah, and if we can get 100 likes on the video. Trade Talk went well last week, so thank you very much for the support as always. If we can get 100 likes on this video, that would be fantastic. But yeah, obviously always appreciate the support you guys show, and also my social media links in the description below. Bala's detail on most of the socials, but all the links are in the description below, so make sure you go and Follow me across all of those. And we'll be back. It'll be on Friday. It'll be at, I believe, the game's at 4:20 on, on Good Friday. So we'll be going live about an hour and a half before the game. Obviously, Ball Boys will be going live, I think it's at 2 o'clock Eastern. And then we'll go live at 3 o'clock Eastern as well, till 4 o'clock, 20 minutes before the game starts. So make sure you guys tune in to our pre-lockout chat, as always. Until then, I'll catch you guys then. Have a good couple of days. As I said, chat to you guys then. I'm out. Cheers.